I used to have it prepared, but that's all out the window now because, well, everything's changing. So, I don't even know where to start. Yeah, I was born. Jesus brought me here. I was born. I had a really rough childhood. My mom got divorced from my birth father when, I don't know, I was 4 or 5. She met my stepfather. We moved 7 Hills. You live in this nice neighborhood, you think everything's going to be great. Opposite. My stepfather was very abusive between me, my brother, and my sister, physically and verbally, and towards my mother. So it was kind of like we just raised ourselves. My sister raised me and my brother all the way up until we moved out of the house. We went to church once a month, once a month on a Sunday, and then every holiday, Easter, Christmas, all of them. You'd spend 6 hours on Christmas Eve at church. You take communion. As a kid, you don't know if that's right or wrong. You think that's just normal. Our grandparents would try to take us to church every so often. We'd go. My mom didn't like it. Growing up, once I hit 7, 8, 9, I was a very rebellious child. I was getting in trouble all the time, getting kicked out of school, getting suspended, almost got expelled a couple times just because of how rough my home life was, because, you're going to act out because you can't do anything at home. Finally, I hit my teenage years, and wow, that was a roller coaster ride thinking back now. I was probably one of the worst kids ever, and we'd still go to church. We were smoking weed, drinking. Still, my stepfather was still there being abusive. It got worse as we got older, and eventually my sister and my brother moved out, so it was just me left at home. And it got to a point where I was 15. He raised his fist to me. I said, "See you later," and I moved out and never looked back. Finally, my mom divorced him, and I went back for a little bit, and then I was like, nope, not doing it. So I moved out again. I was living with my ex, having sex outside of marriage. I was 17, 18 years old, still stealing, lying, drinking, smoking weed, just doing the things that I knew was wrong, but I was like, nah, I'm going to do them. They're cool. I'm 18, 19 years old. Living with my girlfriend, just doing things that we weren't supposed to do. My ex's parents would take us to church every Sunday. We would pray before every single meal. But I was still living that life to where it was just like, you're in the bar on Saturday and you're going to church on Sunday, and then you leave church on Sunday and you go out to dinner and you're getting drunk at dinner. And you're like, well, this is okay because nobody ever told you it was wrong. I was never in my word. It was just we sat at church. We were pew warmers. We didn't know the word. We just sat there because that's what we were told to do. And we left and just live a normal life again like we never went to church. I turned 21. I got married when I was 21. My first marriage. That was a roller coaster. Still doing the same thing, going to church, getting drunk, stealing, doing things that as an adult I knew was wrong, but I was still doing them. And it was just nothing. I finally got to a point to where me and my ex broke up. Still going to church. Still, God is real. I love God. Me and Jesus have a relationship. No. I was doing harder drugs now at 21, 22 years old. I was still stealing. I was doing all of these things as somebody that was professing Christ, that knows Christ, thought I knew Christ, I should say, but still doing these things. And I got to a point throughout my whole childhood and even into my 20s, I was very depressed, very suicidal, very angry all the time, to the point where I was just punching holes in the wall for no reason, just because I stubbed my toe or somebody said something to me I didn't like. I'd go off on people. I'd tell people that all these things that now that I look back, I'm like, wow, I hurt a lot of people, and I wouldn't want somebody to say those things to me. Finally get to my 20, how old am I going to be this year? 25? My 23rd birthday, I'm on a motorcycle. I've always been a kid that loves turning wrenches, as you can see. Loves turning wrenches, loves anything with a motor. I'd get on or drive, anything. I was on a motorcycle. I was out in Lodi. At this point, I was doing cocaine and Adderall and smoking weed and drinking all at the same time. I was on a motorcycle in Lodi. I got on the highway on 71 North. I made it from Lodi to downtown Pierre in about 11 minutes. So if somebody else is driving that, it's about 45 minutes to an hour drive. I was doing well over 170 miles an hour, just hoping a car would pull out in front of me. And by God's grace, nobody did. And I don't know how I'm alive because of that. He's got a plan for me. It'll all unfold one day. But after that day, I was like, I gotta stop doing this. The next morning I woke up, I flushed everything down the toilet. And this is before I was even around here. I flushed everything down the toilet. I said, not drinking, not doing any more drugs. I'm done doing it. You know, life's better. So fast forward a couple months, I meet Erica. Coming around, she's like, yeah, my parents run a ministry, and I've never owned a Bible. My parents have never owned a Bible. There's never been a Bible in our house. We would just go to church, you know, open the Bible that's on the back of the pew, fold it back up, put it back, and we're gone. So I came to church, house church, Bible study, I think, a couple times. I just kind of sat in the back, listened. Eventually, I think Steve gave me a Bible, and we went to Father's house one night. And this was the first time I've been in a church. That was the first time I was in a church in years and actually paid attention. That's also the night that I gave my life to Christ. It was a little over a year and a half ago. That night, I mean, you can ask Erica yourself. That night I left that church, it was life changing. Literally, like, I couldn't even talk. Once we left, she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, I don't know. Couldn't talk. I sat in the car the whole ride home, and I'm just like, wow, what have I been doing my whole life? What's going to happen to me now? You know, I never thought, you know, you go to church on Sunday, that's it, you're going to heaven, that's your golden ticket. And that day changed me. And looking back now, I never want to be that person again. I never will be that person again.
Amen. Good.
Amen. Since that day, just my walk with Christ has been a bumpy road, but I'm a baby Christian, as you would say. God has shown me a lot of things. He's taught me a lot of things. You know, when we're saved, we're not sinless perfection. We all sin, as much as we try not to. And it's I don't even know. I'm at a loss right now.
That's how good he is.
I never thought. I told myself when I was 18, 19 years old, I'd never make it 25. I'm like, I'll be dead. I'll be in jail. I'll be homeless. But by God's grace, I And I'm not bragging by this any means. I'm one of the most successful people in my family. And it's all from him. You give him everything, he'll give you everything tenfold.
Amen.
Now, even as Christians, you can still chase things in the world, and God's going to spank your butt. It's happened to me on multiple occasions in the year and a half. You know, when I first started my business, I'm like, I'm chasing the money. That's all I want. I want the money. I want the nice car. I want the nice house. God said, no, you're not going to get anything. They almost took my business away from me. And I'm like, okay, this ain't right. This ain't for me. The money ain't for me. It's his giving it to me to do things for him.
Yes. Amen.
So now, learning that and God putting me through a trial, I'd be like, what are you going to do with that money? Because if you use it for yourself and use it for your selflessness, you're not going to have any more. You're not going to have a business. You're not going to have anything. So finally, I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I got you. I said, it ain't mine. Take it all. I don't want it. And ever since the day I realized that, and I'm like, I just thank God every morning and every night for the things that he gives us. And it's not even the physical things. It's just waking us up in the morning.
Amen.
Because tomorrow could be the day. You might not wake up tomorrow. We don't know the day. It's just, you gotta be right with God. You gotta be right with Jesus Christ. Don't.
Amen, brother.
You gotta pick up your cross every day. You gotta be in your word every day. I struggle with it now, but I'm getting better at it. God's showing me. He's like, take time, do your things. And I've learned recently with doing things on my own is when it gets tough, just stop. Just stop what you're doing. Sit down. Take a second. Thank God for putting you there, for doing those things, that you're able to do those things. Stand back up, get right back to it. I bet you it'll go right. I guarantee it.
Amen.
You gotta be right. And, you know, I have friends that are like, Matt, you're different. Why you're no fun anymore? Like, let's go out. I'm good. That ain't me. I'll crack a beer open every once in a while. Take a sip. Just let it sit there. It gets warm. Pour it out. Throw it away. Before, when I first met Erica, we were going to the bar every weekend, every day. I used to work at a bar, getting drunk at the bar, drive home, just doing things that I knew was wrong, but I was still doing them because that I had a veil over me because I wanted to live in the world. I wanted to do worldly things. And even at first, when I first gave my life to Christ, I was like, this is boring. But now I'm like, this is fun.
Amen.
Like, it's true though. Like, you know, people are like, oh, giving your life to Christ, that's boring. Like, you gotta go to church, you gotta read your Bible. Like, okay, we all sit on our phones on Facebook, don't we? You can't take 20 minutes out of your day to read your word. You can't take 20 minutes out of your day to bring in your prayer closet. You're gonna take an hour out of your day to sit on TikTok and go like this, or sit on Instagram and go like this, or sit on Facebook and just read stuff that has nothing to do with us. Because that's all it is. It's all about everybody like, oh, look at me. What's up, buddy? It's all look at me, or complaining about their problems, and I want to delete it so bad, but it just sits there in the corner and am I just rambling now?
You're fine.
I just gotta be thankful. That's the biggest thing. Because if you're not thankful, boy, you're in a world of hurt. You're in a world of, it's gonna hurt. Because when he spanks your butt, it don't feel good. I'm sure we all know that, but it gets worse. Yeah, but it'll only get better if you're right. All right, I'm done.